Artificial intelligence is not one technology, but actually it's a whole cluster of technologies. It includes nanotechnology, natural language processing, wearables. It includes drones. It includes semiconductors. It includes quantum computing. All these are separate technologies that have gone ahead in their own way. But artificial intelligence, or the mind, just like the brain puts all the body together, it's the mind that brings all these things together. It empowers them. It's a force multiplier, and its function, that's the technological view, but its function is to augment the mind, amplify the mind, substitute for the mind, supersede the mind, mimic the mind, but it's all about mind. So just like a technology which does something for your muscles, it carries more weight or travels faster like a car. It is an amplifier of your muscular body. And just like we have technologies that amplify your vision, telescopes, microscopes, electron microscopes, and they just amplify your vision. So this thing amplifies your mind. So whatever is mental work, instead of 50 people, instead of 50 pilots on an airplane, keeping track of so many enemies and missiles, one pilot in a Rafael jet with artificial intelligence can track all of them, can calculate which missile is going where, what are the strategies, what to do. So it amplifies the capability of one pilot as though it were 50. So it also allows people to do things a lot faster. For instance, facial recognition. If there is a few images, few pictures of Madhu, and they want to find out where is Madhu in this stadium with 50,000 people, a drone can go and with facial recognition, look at everybody's face and quickly pick out and say, this one is Madhu. So it can pick up whether you are wearing glasses that day, not wearing glasses that day, whatever your facial expression may be, it can still say that's Madhu. So this ability to do things which normally we feel require intelligence is artificial intelligence. So basically, artificial intelligence builds on a map or a model of how intelligence works. And if the model is successful, then you can replicate it more easily, better. If the model is not successful, you got to keep building on it. So this AI concept has been around for several decades, but recently it became hugely successful because of massive computing power, a large amount of data called big data, which is now available to understand how things work and reverse engineer. So this has now become the cutting edge field in computer science. Now I want to also explain to you a lot in many ways what I just described as artificial intelligence is normally computers also. Computers are always doing this. So you can say what's new. There's something dramatically new in AI from previous computer science. Because in previous computer science, the programmer needed to know how a certain thing functions, and then he could put it into the computer. You can only program what you understand. But AI, here is the important point. In AI, you don't need to know how an intelligent system works. There is something called machine learning, which figures out how it works. So for instance, you are cooking a certain recipe, and what the old way is you write it down, here is how you cook, and that's the computer programming approach. And your recipe is called an algorithm in computer terminology. So you can write down the algorithm how to make, whatever, aloo paratha. So that is your recipe. But let's say you don't want to tell me and you don't want to write down how you make this aloo paratha so delicious. But we have ways of looking at how you're making it. So from the data of how you are making it, we decipher and reverse engineer what your recipe must be. So we learn the recipe by just watching you.
So is it primarily an instrument of surveillance, very intrusive instrument of surveillance? And how is it going to impact Indian society?
Surveillance is one of the uses of artificial intelligence, because when you do surveillance with a lot of sensors, you have what is called big data. You're gathering big data. And then from that, you can understand people's behavior. You can model their behavior. Like a psychologist, the more the psychologist knows about you, the more they can understand your behavior, the more they can even predict what your behavior will be like under different circumstances. So this is watching your behavior, watching what messages you send, what kind of pictures you post, where you are traveling, who your friends are, what you are buying, where you click, where you don't click. So every single click, on the social media, it enhances the machine learning knowledge about you. So you are leaving footprints and signatures every single time. So if somebody is listening to this, they will know at what points in time she nods, when she approves something, when she doesn't approve, what happens to the tone and inflection of her voice. So the AI system is able to be very minutely do surveillance, capturing information about you. But it has also got great uses, because the same intelligence can treat diseases. The same intelligence can be used for better mental health, better education, better agriculture. It can understand the nature of disease of plants and figure out how to solve those things. So the understanding nature's intelligence and allows it to intervene and supersede nature's intelligence, or augment it, or anticipate it, like understanding the weather, or understanding climate, and understanding soil, so you can predict what kind of a crop will come. That is one aspect of AI. But understanding human intelligence, not just nature's intelligence, but man-made. So man has made some kind of a missile, or man has made some kind of a device, something, and being able to decode, figure it out, that also it does. So it has a wide range of applications. It is the future, it is the present and future of computer science. And it will define haves and have-nots.
How is it going to impact society at a wider level, apart from pushing things you don't want, or as seducing you into buying things which you otherwise may not need?
So, there is this, in my book, I mentioned that as machines get smarter, people get dumber. So one of the things that AI is doing is encouraging you to take the default action, and leaving the thinking and decision making to the machine. So you become more dependent on Google Devta. You ask Google and he'll tell you what's right, because you don't need to have knowledge now. A lot of kids tell me that whatever I need to know, I'll ask Siri, I'll ask Google, I'll ask Wikipedia, and they'll tell me, why should I have knowledge? So now I've coined these terms: Google Devta, Twitter Devta, Facebook Devta. These are the Devtas. So we have surrendered our agency. We have surrendered our intelligence, become dumbed down. So now the more you dumb down, the more this algorithm becomes smart in thinking about you, figuring you out. It says, when I sent this kind of post, he responded. When I sent that kind of post, he didn't respond. When I send a certain kind of image, certain kind of a picture, he's more likely to respond. Not only in terms of what products he wants, what vacations he wants, but what fantasies he has. What kind of what is in his unconscious that he's not even telling people, but we know because he responds a certain way. So what ideology will he like? What is his ideology? Is he this left wing, right wing, middle wing, whatever? What faith? What is his views on faith? What is his views on other people, other Indians? How to make him angry at people? How to make him fight? So if there is a CAA, anti-CAA riot, or an anti-370 riot, or anti-anything kind of riot, these machine learning systems know a lot about different kind of population groups, what their propensity is, who is likely to be able to get into a fight with somebody else, with what ammunition, whether it is fake news or real news. If it is fake news, they manufacture it. If it is real news, they can also emphasize something obscure, make it look more important. So the ability to mold behavior, to buy shoes, that same psychology, that same artificial intelligence is also used to figure out how to make you convert to a certain faith, how to make you angry, how to make you revolt, how to get into a riot. So, this is the future of psychological warfare, the future of manipulating human beings, the future of digitally colonizing people, mentally colonizing people, making them emotionally depend on you, is all because of AI. So AI is the weapon. It's a mental, because it is about the mind. It can also be used as a weapon against the mind. So a large number of Indians are into this AI, into the social media, you, me, and we have given up what is called big data, which means the systems know more about Madhu Kishwar than any relative or friend knows about you. And probably in certain ways, it knows more about you than you know about yourself, because it doesn't forget. And you may not remember certain things. You may not want to remember certain things. You may have done certain things kind of subconsciously, not thinking twice about it, but there is something called unconscious bias. We all have unconscious bias. So I'm not conscious of it, but I have some biases. The machine picks it up. So as the more data you have given it, which is called big data, the smarter it is. So the machines are becoming smarter. People are becoming more dependent on these machines. Machine is able to figure out the behavior of people. And those people who own these machines, the Zuckerbergs of the world and so on, have a huge amount of power over you. So I've called this the return of the East India Company in my book. I've called it the return of the East India Company. And I've called that these are the new devatas that we're all buying to, because they will give me preference, they will give me more retweets. If I misbehave, they will shadow ban me. Somebody's post gets more views than somebody else's posts. Even the same post I've seen, we've done an experiment where 5 different people put up the same post. I put it up and a bunch of other people, but they have different profile. They have a different profile, their background is different, their name is different. So they all get treated differently by the YouTube. They all get treated differently by Twitter. So this is highly personalized knowledge about your psychology, a personalized kind of understanding of how your mind works. And this is to hack your agency. This is to use all this to get the better of you, to make you behave the way they want to. So the power of AI over the mind can be, you can figure out millions of applications for it.